In wildlife photography, one of the most frequently asked questions is how to get sharp images during the safari. This is a challenge which many wildlife photographers face, especially given the setup of the vehicle with 4 people sitting. So again, people shaking. So the stability and also your shooting technique will matter a lot. Hi, I'm Sudhir Shivram, a wildlife photographer and a photography mentor, and I have taught thousands of photographers how to get stability in their images, how to get sharp images, and I have taught them everything. So as a part of this video, I'm going to teach you my time-tested technique to get pretty good sharp images during your safari. Now for that, the most recommended accessories in the safari vehicle is a beanbag with a panning pod, which is quite important. Apart from that, a good tripod depending on your vehicle setup, and a monopod. So this is again extremely important. So in today's technique, I'm going to teach you how I use either a tripod or a monopod to get sharp images. Let's start with the tripod. For my wildlife photography, I use a carbon fiber Leofoto tripod, the Ranger LS-365C. And the most important is to use a good fluid head. So generally in the past, historically, we used gimbal head or ball head. But given the current circumstances where photographers not only want to take still images, but they also allow to take videos. Again, my fluid head is the Leofoto BV-15. So this is extremely light, compact, and extremely easy to use. So let me show you my setup, what I do. Now the main thing when we talk about the vehicle setup is like when I travel alone, so I get the center vehicle center seat removed so that this becomes my working area. I get a lot of flexibility to move around, get eye level images. So apart from getting sharp images, getting the low angle eye level is possible with this kind of a technique. So, and the other accessories, I just spread it around in the vehicle during my shoot. So the way I shoot is like I open up one of the legs and then the other 2 legs a little bit I open up. So depending on like the overall setup of the vehicle. So these are all the things which we'll have to keep adjusting. There you go. So this is how I generally keep and shoot. So now let me explain to you the fluid head setup. So in the fluid head, so there are multiple of these controls which are very important. The first one is the fluid drag control. So this fluid drag control is used for the drag of the tilt angle. So how much tilt you need, that is decided. And then the other one is again for the panning. So the drag or the friction control for the panning, which is again down here, this particular knob. So apart from that, the other 2 controls are basically like the locking mechanism for the tilt and the locking mechanism for the pan. So with these basic things, let's go ahead with the shoot. So this is how I use the overall setup. So one of the legs, I make it flat, little bit it goes out of the vehicle here like this, and then the fluid head plate is already there on my tripod, on my lens. I lock it. The way I generally set up is the locking is always on the left side, so that like when I'm shooting, so the left hand basically like plays around with all the locking mechanisms, and then the right hand is used for the shoot. So let me just loosen both of this. So if you see here, this is the normal setup what I use. So everything here is stable. So depending on what kind of shooting angle I need, I go ahead and adjust that. And also the other important thing is the lens collar. This also I loosen so that vertical shot becomes easy. So this is the very basic setup what I have. And while shooting, I unlock this for the tilt up and down. Once I get the angle, I lock it. Same thing applies for the pan as well. So the angle, once I get the correct angle, I lock it. So this is how I make use of the tripod and the fluid head combinations for my wildlife photography. The other very important accessory in wildlife photography to get the crisp, sharp images with good stability is a monopod, and most importantly, a proper monopod head. A lot of times people generally use a ball head or a gimbal head for a monopod, which is very clumsy and not comfortable to use. So the monopod head has specific controls which are very important, which I'm going to show you. Of course, a monopod is recommended where both the seats are intact and you have your co-passengers. So that is where a monopod is important. So let me just first set up the camera with the monopod. So I just have to slide. So most importantly, again, for monopod use, I basically take the lens collar to the side. So the side angle is important. And in my case, again, I just want to explain to you the monopod what I'm using. It is the Leofoto MPQ-325C. So I really like this monopod with a simple reason. Apart from the flexibility of using lightweight, it has a very nice camouflage color which I love for my wildlife photography. So that's the monopod which I'm using, the Leofoto one. And then again for the monopod head. So this is again the very specific Leofoto MPG-01. So that is what I'm using from a monopod head, so which is very important. So let me just set it up here. So it's very easy. And now, since we are going to use the monopod sitting on the seat, generally in wildlife photography, let me show you the technique what I use. Now that the monopod is set up, so one really good thing, flexibility about the monopod is you can keep it wherever you want and shoot. Of course, the advantage with the mirrorless technology is you can always pull out your viewfinder or your LCD screen and you can look at it here and shoot it. So even the height, if you want to adjust the height, you have in this particular, I need to tighten it. So in this particular monopod, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So depending on what kind of height you want, you can adjust it. Now comes again the very important other setting in the monopod. The other very important setting in the monopod head. So you have this particular knob, so which is very useful. Again, the way I shoot is this comes to the left side of me and then the whole setup on the right side. I hold the hand here and I shoot it. So this is basically for the tilt setup, which is missing in a lot of other heads. So I loosen this and then I can easily change what kind of angle I want. Once I get the angle, I tighten it. So this setup is again very important. So again, coming back, so imagine like you have your co-passenger over there, you're sitting here. So little bit you can adjust the height of your monopod, keep it here, eye level. So depending on you love to shoot through the viewfinder or basically from the LCD screen, it's left to you. And then I use the tilt angle adjustment and then tighten it and then shoot it. So if you see here, again, if you want, you can little bit loosen the lens collar so that you want to shoot vertical, you can shoot vertical, horizontal, you can shoot horizontal. So this is one of the greatest flexibility of using a monopod with the right monopod head. So with this kind of a setup, the stability, the sharpness, even in low light situation where you have very slow shutter speed, this comes extremely handy for long telephoto lenses. So this is the setup what I use for my wildlife photography when there are multiple people in the vehicle, and this is going to give you the stability for those sharp images.